Yeah, now I can see.
Okay.
Yes, now I
Sound
can see. Yes.
okay, sounds good. So thank you all. We are on our first 2021 meeting and 26th if we take the count from perspective of where we are. So let's go through the normals. Nothing much. Uh, if you haven't registered earlier and you want to be registered, you can go to this link. I might update this link next time. If you are here in the meeting and don't want to get registering every week, just drop your name and email address. I'll make you default attendee in the future meetings. So now let's go through. I have some questions that were left from the last meeting or the new one that came this week. So the first one is from Shahid, and he like to filter vendor ledger entry in report using global dimension. What is the best way? Global dimension one filter or filter on global dimension one code? Okay, so Shahid, if and you're not here, but Shahid, if I understand it correctly, global dimension one filter is actually a flow filter, not a field. So flow filters are used only to filter flow fields. So I don't know how should I give you an example, or maybe I have an example somewhere. Let me find my Docker, and if I find that, then we can see that. I was trying to write about it. So the example would be something like this. Let me zoom it in. While this logs in, let me see if I can find the relevant code if I have. So there should be a flow field demo, and I should have the code for that also. Okay, so here it is, and others can confirm me when they can see it. Okay,
Yes, Saurav.
so Sahid, just for your explanation, I just created a sample table where there is item number and the customer number, and the intention is to get how much quantity has been shipped or sold for that particular customer and that item combination. So for doing that, we created a flow field called quantity sold, which have a formula to calculate the quantity on the sale shipment line based on the item number and the customer number. Now, if I want to have a way that user can filter out the flow field value or the calculated field can be again filtered out, then you actually add a flow filter, and the flow filter is then used in your flow field to kind of filter it based on user request. So coming back to your question, which is here, the global dimension one filter is a flow filter on the table under ledger entries, whereas global dimension one code is a field. So if you see or compare the code that I was showing right now, which is this, the location code is a field in shale shipment line table, and if user want to see that how much item and customer combination has been sold at a particular location, then they can filter it out like this. So in the client, if we talk about it right now, it says that for customer number 10,000 and item number 1896s, the quantity sold is 108. That is kind of calculation or sum of all the sales shipment line in this particular case, which have the same combination of item number and the customer number. But at this point, if user want to see that how much of this actually was sold from a particular location, then they can come here and use filter total spy, which will then show him all the flow filters in that table, which is one of them, and then they can add a value, let's say east. As soon as they do that, the flow field will get filtered with that location. So in the same way, if you are just trying to get a uh, you want to filter the vendor ledger entry for global dimension 1, then you should use global dimension 1 code and don't rely on global dimension 1 filter, because the global dimension 1 filter is a flow filter which will only filter the flow field associated with that field. So Shahid is not here, but I hope that clears his doubt. Anyone else have any doubts on this one before we move forward? Okay,
No, sir.
let's move to the next question. And I am not sure that Sebastian is here, but he says that we are implementing Business Central in our company and stumble upon an issue below. Default search string. If you have greater than these many items and you're searching for a table that is 75 centimeter high, color this with round legs, you have a hard time finding in Business Central. Okay, here's the problem. And then what we need is a default possibility so that Business Central transform this to table 759010 round and search that. Okay. So if it is just for searching an item, I don't know, Sebastian, did you try it with what we call them? Let me see on the client so that I remember them.
Are you talking about attributes?
Yes, right. That was the word. Did you try it with item attributes? Because all these conditions that you are mentioning, which is a height, a color, and a specific thing for it, for a product, you can actually use item attribute. And let's see how you set it up. So like this is Ethan's desk. If you see here, there will be attributes like color, depth, width, height, and you can define as many as you want. There's no limitations on it. So if I go here, you can even have a custom attribute. You can surely create a new one. Let's say this is my test attribute, and I want that attribute to be type of, let's say, text. And then you click OK. So now I can define that test attribute can be anything. This is a testing attribute. Now that can kind of stores against the item, but it will only work on your item page. If you're trying to filter out your items at on sales line and all, you'll have to pop up the item list to filter it out. So when you are on your item list, and if you see here, there should be a filter by attribute. I'm bad with clients, I guess. Yes, filter by attributes. You can choose any attribute, like if I choose color blue, I guess that's one of the option. You click OK, it'll filter anything which is of with attribute blue. And let me see what other attributes are here. Let's say height. So I can again come here and apply multiple of them of height. Let's say, and this is in this case 140. Let's try that. I'll filter out those items. But this attribute filter only works on your item list, which I guess you are requesting, that you should be able to filter out a particular height, a particular color, and some special attributes. So you can define those on your item attributes, and that will also help you to search them easily rather than. And the other thing is, it is also not possible as of today to kind of have a filter the way you are expecting it. And I would not recommend naming your items in this way. It'll be hard to kind of find. As in, yes, you can name them anything, but these are simply seems as to be set on attributes rather than on the item description. Any other thoughts, anyone, or any questions?
Yeah, I agree. Attribute is the best thing to do in this case.
Right. Okay. Let's move ahead. And here is one from Muhammad, if I'm spelling him correct, and I don't see him in the meeting. He's saying that I noticed that customer vendor templates are not working properly with number series after enabling the feature in this page called feature management. I created a new trial and it's fine. If you don't play with feature management, please help us to solve the issue. So I don't know which feature management feature you opened which caused this issue, because I'll maybe need more detail that which feature management feature, because there are 7 or 8 features, is not working with this. And maybe I'm not that expert into it, but I don't know how you kind of create a number series based on customer category. Anybody knows here how you set that up? I set a number series for customer based on customer category. I don't think there is a way to kind of do that. Anybody know about it? Because as far as I know about number series, you can just define certain relations with them. But how you link it to a customer category?
Is there anything in customer template? Means I don't know, but I'm just wondering.
I don't think so, but let's see. Maybe there's something new I'm also not aware of. So in this, I see the code, the description, address and contact, which is pretty standard. Invoicing, posting group. I don't think that there is number series on the customer cat template. No, I don't see any way of putting in the number series on a customer template. But these actually come from where this is actually stored in a separate table, I guess. And I'm trying to control alt. Okay. Uh-oh. This is coming from customer template. And I don't see a number series field. No, I don't see any of those. Mohammed, maybe you need to explain it a little bit more, maybe either on email or add more details into it. And if you can, while adding that detail, if you can tell me any specific feature that causing this issue, because I haven't seen anything happening, because I have tested with all the new uh, features which are part of feature management, and I didn't had any issues. So if there's anything specific, you just send me an email and we'll surely discuss it in the next meeting. Okay. Now coming back to an old question from the last meeting where we didn't get time to talk about it, from Josh, and as the people who were there in the last meeting, I said I'll try to work on this because I have in past worked on creating a zip file of multiple PDFs while sending an email. We might not be able to complete the whole scenario today while attaching it to email, but let's try to create a zip file so that you can use it in other places if you need it. Or if there is anything else that anybody want to talk about, we can take that first. Nothing? Okay. So this is a repo on the GitHub, and I'll just create a branch so that I remember committing it. Let me commit this back. Okay. All right. So the intention is to have a report ran for a customer, and then get that multiple reports kind of uh, actually executed and then saved as PDF, and at the end get become a part of a zip file, which then either you can send as email if you want, or there are other reasons that company would, you will need that for a customer. So let's do this. Let's create a code unit. Okay, new file, and let's name it as export zip code unit.al. All right. So let's use a snippet to create a code unit, and as per the name it as export zip file. Okay, the file is export zip file. Okay, I'll have to change the name. Okay. So now the intention that that question have is to run the customer statement report for overdue invoices, and then kind of attach them uh, into a file, into a zip file. So what we'll need to do is we'll have to kind of first let's create a function, the procedure, which is generate invoice PDF, and it does it for customer ledger entry or customer. Okay, let's do it for customer ledger entry so that then we can play with it. Ledger entry comes as record customer ledger entry. Okay, so this generate invoice PDF will kind of create the PDF for a specific customer ledger entry. Now I'm assuming that I'll receive a particular reference of that customer ledger entry that I'm trying to print it, the invoice for, and then let's remove the var because we don't need it. If I find that customer ledger entry that I'm looking for, then I want to print that report. You can either hard code it, like maybe I'll do it for this demo, but you can also pick it from a setup if required. So there's a loop in for that customer ledger entry that I'll receive. And then I need to kind of generate that file. So let's write that code, which is pretty simple as we used to. Like I'll create a, I'm trying to print the overdue invoices that are pending for that. So let me create a sales invoice variable. Sales invoice header. And then I'll do a sales invoice. I'll apply that filter of the document number of my customer ledger entry so that I can get the specific document that I want to print. once I have it, I'll need to do a report dot save as, and this is kind of the default function on every report. You can name the report, and let's use the sales invoice North America, and this is a US Docker container. The second parameter on this is the parameters, which I don't want. And next is format, so I can do a report format of type PDF. And then what next? It's an outstream where you want to save your output to that particular stream. So I'll do a OS stream, which I'll define as my outstream. And then the last parameter is the record ref on which that filter is kind of applied. So let's set up a record reference. We'll need to set that. Now let's set up the record reference first. We will do the get table of my sales invoice. So now this record reference pointing to this particular invoice, which is filtered with this number. Now I also will have to initialize my outstream. For that, I'll need my temp blob. And let's do it here. Temp blob, outstream. So this is to set my outstream, and this is to set my the filter on this sales invoice record ref. So this report.save as will save that output into this outstream. Now from this outstream, I'll have to kind of take it to a file so that it can be saved. So I can do my create in a stream with, let's say, iStream, which I'll define now. And then I can save it to a file name, which is in this case, let's say, okay, customer ledger entry dot document number plus I need to give it an extension .pdf. So what this function right now is doing is trying to save a report into a file, which then can be used later. So now, but this looks a little bit big to me. So I don't know you are using this extension or not, but there is an extension in VS Code. Where is my extension management? I guess it's AL Code Actions, where you can, if you see that if a function is getting a little bit bigger, you can actually select that and use the suffixes and create a new procedure based on that code. So let's create that, and I'll name that as get code output so that my main function looks more cleaner. So when I do that, that function is created. The required variable which were needed are also copied there, so I don't have to kind of worry about it. And my main function looks a lot more cleaner. And this automatically passes this as a reference, so I don't need to worry about that. And then I can keep my main function as cleaner as it is. But with this, I actually wanted my file to be here so that I can then use that file later. So what I'll do is I'll keep my file name and my in-stream logic, or I'll pass those two variables so that I don't have to kind of rely on them from that function. So I'll keep this variable here, and I'll keep my file name also there, because I'll need that file name and the stream here, and I can pass that from here as stream and then as file name, and they will be iStream. Okay. Am I doing something wrong? I did pass iStream in the file name. Let me pass that also. File name as of type text. The local method is declared but never used. This is the first variable, then I'm passing it as what wrong I'm doing.
Hello.
Yeah.
Saurabh, customer ledger entry, I think you have to
Oh, thank
invite
you.
someone.
Yeah, sorry. How can I miss that? But okay, thanks, man. Okay. So now this is will generate that kind of PDF for that particular customer ledger entry that I want, but I actually want to run it from my customer. So what I'll be passing is, what I'll be doing is I'll create a function, let's say procedure, and I'll name it later, but I'll pass my customer as a record. And in this, I'll create my customer ledger entry so that I can call this function later. And I need to call my generate invoice PDF with my customer ledger entry. Now this will kind of generate that, but I'll kind of have to filter this customer ledger entry for this customer. So I can do that here based on whatever that logic becomes of overdue invoices, which is customer ledger entry of type invoices. That's what we are targeting. And my customer ledger entry where the customer number is whatever being passed. And then that should have a remaining amount, should not be 0. Use these, change it like this. And then the last but not least is about the due date. It should not be less than a work date. And if customer ledger entry, that's it, then you can generate the invoice for that particular customer ledger entry. Now, this is kind of the basic code where before we would kind of put them into a zip file. This will generate the PDFs that then now we can use. But again, I'm a big fan of keeping my base function as much as clean as I can. So I'd actually like to create a separate function to do this. Let's do that. And let's call it overdue invoice exist. So what my overdue invoice exists is doing, it's also, I don't know why it passed that. I need my customer ledger entry here. I'll pass this to customer ledger entry. And then let me go to that function. This. And I don't need this. And I can, let's say, transform to Boolean. It returns a Boolean. And instead of this, if it's, I just want to check that is it empty or not. Okay, so this will check, and maybe just to make sure that it aligns to what I'm trying to do. If no overdue invoices exist, what it will do, it will check and return a Boolean. And if there are overdue invoices, then it will make sure that the customer ledger entry is already filtered. So now what I can do is I can call this function, and if this returns that it is empty, then I don't have to do anything. Then I can actually come out of loop with a message that there are no overdue invoices. For my customer is from my customer dot number. Okay. And that's it. I'll exit from this. But if it has overdue invoices, and that's where we are into, we need to kind of create those PDF and then add them into one single zip file that we want to use. So if you don't know, there is actually a separate code unit that Microsoft added. And earlier it was part of the file management, but now it is a separate code unit. Sorry. Code unit for data compression. Now, earlier all these functions were kind of part of the file management 419 code unit, if you remember that. But now they have separated this into a code unit called data compression. Now, what data compression can do for you is there are some functions that you can use, and one of them I guess we'll use today. You can create a zip archive, which is a zip file that you want. Now inside this archive, you can do other things, like you can add an entry and close the file, which we'll do later. You can create the zip archive, which you are doing. You can also read a zip file, extract entries, and then there are other ways: open, save, and run that. So what we'll do today is we will get that PDF that we have generated and add it into this data compression management code unit. So for that, what we have done is we have created a zip archive that initializes that zip file. Now what we'll do is we will pass this data compression to our this function also, so that all the entries get added there. When I do this right now, it only needs my first ledger entry. I'll also pass data compression. just this, and already been initialized. So that should never be a problem when it goes into that function. So that it gets updated, I'll pass it as where. Now this function is actually generating this file and getting this file name and iStream from here. So now we just need to add that entry into my file. So now if I do my data compression, I can actually use the function add entry. And that add entry requires a stream to add. So I'll do my iStream. And then a path in the archive, which is kind of the name of the file in the archive. So I'll pass the file name. So as many times, so if we go back here, as many customer ledger entries we'll find, that will call this function. And for each customer ledger entry, we will run the report, get the output into stream, and also get the file name from this function, get output name. It will generate the file name and also set the stream into it. And then we'll add that stream and the file name into my data compression. So now that particular report output became part of my zip file. Now, once that happens and all these records have been added into my zip file, I can actually kind of at the end, what I'll do is I'll have to close my zip file. But now take a pause for a minute and think about it, that the zip is also a file. And to download that file, we'll have to kind of do the in-stream, out-stream thing again so that it can be saved. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to create an outstream for the zip file and then create an in-stream so that I can download it. So let's do that. I'll call it at zip outstream, and a zip in-stream. Type in-stream. And because it will be a file that we are talking about, and to manage these outstream and in-stream, I'll have to define a blob, kind of initialize these streams. So now once that is done, I can actually, once this is passed, this came back, all the files are added here. What I can do is I can call my blob and create the outstream first using my zip outstream. Once my outstream is created, I can do my data compression dot save zip. Now if you see, save zip requires outstream, so I can pass my zip outstream to that. Once that save is happened, I'll close the archive. But as all we understand that when we try to do my download from a stream, and this may be just for this example because I'm trying to download that file, what I need is a in stream, and all these other parameters are more or less empty other than the file name, which you can give with that. But I'll need a in stream. I'll need my data into my in stream before I can actually execute my download to stream. So now I can do my zip temp blob, create my in stream, of my zip in stream. So whatever was in the out stream, it's kind of now passed into the in stream. And then I just need a file name, so I can do that from here. I can say zip in stream, and I don't need a file dialog. I don't need a folder. I cannot use it to file. So 1, 2, 3, and I guess 1, 2, 3. Sorry. Zip file archive, dialog text not needed, to folder not needed, to file not needed, and then the file name. So I can call it, let's say, attachment.zip. And okay, like that. Let's convert it to it. Okay, I might have to create a file name variable. File name of type text. And then I can use this as the file name. And the file name can be .zip. So now this should actually, what is this? Code unit semicolon expected where? Now what we need to do is we need to kind of test this out by calling this from a page, and we'll need a record reference of my customer. So let's do a page extension on customer card to make it simple. Customer card extension, page extension.al, page extension. Okay. 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 And I'll just add an action to make it simple. I'll add on the last of, let's see what we have. Okay, let's choose customer. And then I'll add the action and generate zip file. Application area all. Need a caption. Generate zip file. And trigger. I can call my code unit reference, which is export zip. Okay, I can call my export zip dot. Oh, I didn't name that procedure. Bad of me. Which is get zip for overdue invoices. Okay, and I'll pass the rec into it. Now it's missing tooltip. Let me just give it a tooltip. Same as the caption. Okay. So now this action should actually download a zip file with whatever is overdue for that particular customer. So let's publish this and we'll see what happens. Now, the intention of this is, I don't understand that there will be a business case where you'll have to download a zip file. Maybe there is one. I guess the question that Josh had was around, can we generate a zip file and then add that into my email body, which will be possible once if we are able to generate this. So let's pick a customer and oh, it's on the customer card actually. And let's go into my customer. Okay, where is it? Okay, here I guess. Yeah, generate zip file. So it's working. Trying to run the report, I guess, in the background. Okay, and it downloaded attachment.zip, which have 3 invoices into it, and this seems to be empty. Is it? Yes. So something went wrong. It did ran, but it didn't have the content into it, which is okay. Let's figure that out. My document type is invoice, everywhere it is. And if I run it with my, let me run this actually in the client to see is it working or not. Report selection sales, and let me choose, this is 10074, which is sales invoice, I guess. So if I go to my invoice, my entries, posted sales invoice, and if I try to print that invoice, oh no, sorry, let me go to the invoice and try to print this. Okay, it does print it. So maybe let's go back to the scratch board where we were writing this and see what we have done. Okay, so it did generate the file. So that means the zip file logic is correct. So we said this one execute, otherwise we would have gotten message. We created the zip archive. We passed the customer ledger to this. Created the outstream, save the zip archive, close this, the inner stream. So now let's go into generate invoice PDF. And anybody sees anything, let me know. I'm just trying this with you guys here. Okay. If I come here, if I find this, then I'm going to call this function with my iStream and file name, and data compression will add that. Okay. So now if I go to my report output one, which have my customer ledger entry, my in stream, and my file name. Okay. Let's see. It creates the temp blob about stream. It filters out the table record based on the document number. Then it creates the reference for my.
So Saurabh, the report are same because in this I can see the sales invoice NA, but in the report selection you have mapped some different report, sales invoice only.
No, so I guess 10074 is sales invoice NA. Let's maybe verify that. Okay. So 10074 is sales invoice NA. It's just a caption as sales invoice. So I did pass it to the sales invoice, then call the report.save as that particular report, format PDF, output stream, and this, and then created an in stream.
It seems like they're not getting the data from the sales invoice rec you have used. I don't know whether it's filtering the correct values or not while using the sales invoice rec.
Recref should do that, otherwise it goes completely absurd. Let's try that out, because this is optional. This parameter is not mandatory.
Okay.
Last parameter is not mandatory, but in this case what will happen, it'll run it for all because there is no filter. Let's test that. I hope that should be the behavior of it. But Okay, let's see. Is it okay? Yeah, published. Okay, so if I go into this and go into related customer, let's it fine. Yeah, it's going absurd now. Yes, it's printing all the invoice lines because there was no filter.
So that is it's like something wrong with that filter.
So
Let's
there
see
will be
what-
3 or
yeah.
4 files having all the records.
But this is again empty.
Yeah.
So I guess the report execution is not the problem. You know what I'm saying? The report is being executed correctly. So this line should not have any problems, more or less. The problem lies somewhere else. If it is generating, then my temp blob is creating iStream. So either the iStream is passed as reference, right? So it should not be empty, more or less. Temp blob.ostream, that creates the ostream that generates data here, and then it passes it to this instream, which then pass from here. Somewhere here is the problem. Let's see, because after this calling is done, then it just add the iStream into this. iStream and file name are going from here to this, and then they are being passed to this. All looks okay at this point. Well, I think it should work as it is. Okay, it came here. The stream is empty. I don't know about the out stream, but let's see. Oh, you can't see the streams. File name had the value, but add entry. So it creates the out stream right now. It filters the sales invoice recref. That should get initialized now, which have a filter of number PSI4, which is correct. Now, if I continue this, then it comes here, and the temp blob should create a in string out of it. It does create that, I guess, and iStream get passed into this. Okay, I might have to test it later, but I guess you get the idea. This is kind of what need to be done. Might have some small fixes somewhere that I'll have to do. Okay, so I'll get that fixed. I'll put that into the GitHub repo. Anything else anybody has? Because I'll be deep into this code for a while now. But yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes.
Can I ask one question?
Go ahead.
Today I am checking one SMTP testing. for a Business Central online version.
Okay.
We already discussed that there is a new feature management, that is a email functionality, but I got the error message that for paste email setup, that is the email couldn't be sent. Check your email setup if you turned on multi-factor authentication. I have set up multi-factor authentication. So when I'm logged in, I got that on my mobile. That is a 6-digit code, and I need to enter as a second factor multiple authentication. That is, first one is password,
Right.
and second one is this digit.
Right.
So at that time, in that case, when I'm send the mail for test email, the error message that the email couldn't be sent. I have checked, but I could not figure out there is a link I got as
Okay, so
from
I don't know,
community.
but I guess it kind of coincided to what I was writing 10 minutes or 15 minutes before this meeting. It'll be a blog, but this was a question that came from somewhere, that when they had a multi-factor authentication in nav and they try to click on test email setup, they get a message like this, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're
Same
on
thing.
Business Central, you get something like this.
Yeah.
Right? So what you do
Yes.
in this case is you go to your Office 365 setup page. And the page name is, let me see, it's this. If you don't have it, call https mysignins.microsoft.com security info.
Okay. I have generated the app password also. I have set it out, but
Once you have the app password,
Mhm.
okay, you need to use that password in the SMTP setup.
Okay.
Not your password. You need to use the app password.
Yes.
Because app password will skip the multi-factor authentication that is set up on your system, because you generated this app password, and that's why the app password exists.
Yeah.
So you don't have to use your password here. You'll have to use the app password that you just generated. The ID will be yours, but the password will be app password. And after you do that, you'll get a message like this.
Okay. I have also set the app password. Somehow I couldn't get the test mail. Let me check again.
Yeah, user ID will be yours, but the password
Okay.
will be the app password, not your password.
Okay. Let me check again.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Anything else, anybody?
No, Saurabh.
No,
my side.
Saurav.
Okay, I'll make sure this gets into GitHub as soon as I'm done, maybe next 15-20 minutes. I'll get this in place. I'll see what the problem was, and I'll commit it before that and also after that. So you'll see where I actually went wrong if you check the commits. But yeah, Josh, we are trying as much as we can, and we'll try to make sure that we answer all your questions if time permits in future meetings. So I guess this Josh one was the last question for this week. And then we'll see you next week, I guess, at this point.
Thank you. Thanks, Saurabh.
Thanks,
Okay.
Saurabh.
Thank you all.
All
See
right.
you
Thank
next
you.
week.
Thank you, Saurav.
Yeah. Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.